Arvest Bank is pleased to bring you the Legend Series, where we focus on individuals who are committed to their communities, much like Arvest.
Now you're also, you're the father of two very significant items in rock and roll history, correct? The Wall of Sound with the Grateful Dead and the Talk Box that Joe Walsh and Peter Frampton are so well known for.
Right.
Is that correct?
After this tour, Joe took a little hiatus and he was putting together a new band called Barnstorm. And he had written this song called Rocky Mountain Way. Two ham radio operators and his road guy, Crinkle, we went to our plant one day in Marissa and built this monstrous big driver. It was a 250 watt driver and surgical tubing, and we come up with the Talk Box. Little did either of us know what was about to happen. That became a very popular song, Rocky Mountain Way. And I immediately started building those for the consumers, 100 watt version and so on, and it's still being built, I might add. And we can take that particular story a little further. We were doing almost all of the concerts that Humble Pie did in those days. That's in 71 through about 75. Peter Frampton was the lead guitarist, and they pulled him out in the early days and made a solo act. And his little girlfriend, Penny, he wrote a song, Penny for Your Thoughts. She was married in our home in Marissa. A lot of that happened because the artists from England would come over to the United States and they had a 6-month green card. They either became a citizen, they got married, they got a job, or they had to go back. Oh, what happened to that? Well, we won't talk about that. Should still be here. Anyway, he got married, and Penny called me one day and she says, I need a Christmas present for Peter. And so I sent her a Talk Box. And you can pretty much write the rest of Peter Frampton's history if you know about his music.
Yes.
He took that Heil Talk Box, and I think he still owns the record. They had a double set album that we did, and I think that still holds the record for the most sales of double sets. But anyway, that Talk Box really made his career, and it went on to Bon Jovi and on and on and on. We back up again. After Joe came back and we were working on Barnstorm, I got a call from George Bales. This was 1970, 71, right in there. George called me and said, hey, you still have those speakers? And I said, yeah, why? He said, are they working? I said, yeah, I got them working. He said, talk to this guy. He said, a band came in here tonight and they didn't have any PA system.
Now the story behind that is their sound guy had been detained on drug charges along with everything in his possession, correct?
Right. The night before, the Grateful Dead came out to the Midwest to do a short little tour. And Owsley, who was their sound man, was on parole. And he owned all the equipment. Well, the drug agents found out that they were going to try to sneak this little tour in. So the FBI and the drug agents sat in the back row, watched their performance in New Orleans that night. The band got finished, and of course, they came on to St. Louis. 4 or 5 hours later, Owsley's finished loading all this. They padlocked him, the truck, and everybody else went off. The band didn't know that. We didn't have cell phones in that day. 4 o'clock the next day, they walk on the stage of the Fox. There was no sound system. So what happened there, they called back and found out, but what are they going to do? George Bales called me and said, do you still have those speakers? And he handed the phone to Jerry Garcia. And I told him what I had, and he was amazed because here he is in middle America, and there's this monstrous sound system. Nobody was doing it. And you have Macintosh amplifiers? Yes, sir, because I wanted the best. I was just building a big sound system, and I had no intentions of doing any of the things that would happen later.
And I think that's the most interesting story about your business life is that you seized opportunities. The opportunities, I think all of us see an opportunity, and some of us take it and some of us don't.
Right.
And so what were some of those turning points in your business that you can point back to and say, these are the pivotal opportunities that I seized?
Well, after we did that, we hit the front page of Billboard magazine at this little music shop in Marissa, got the Grateful Dead contract because the whole music world knew about this deal with Owsley. And so here's this little ye old music shop in Marissa, Illinois, got the contract. Well, all kinds of people were calling me. We're talking major bands. One of the calls that I'll never forget was a fellow called me and he said, "You the guy that's got that big sound system?" And I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Well, we got to have it in Boston tomorrow." I said, "No, we're out with Chaka Khan. She was using our talk box. She had a very popular song with it." And I said, "No, we can't do that. We're out." He said, "No, you have to have it in Boston." I said, "Well, wait a minute. Who are you?" He said, "I'm with The Who." And I'm going, "The Who? Oh, you're Who?" It was Peter Rudge from The Who. They came into America to do a full 2-year run of their Who's Next. Brand new music, totally different. But in the 3 or 4 years that they hadn't been here, the sound system in America just elevated like crazy, and we were a big part of that.
Absolutely.
So what we did there is I had to call, and I had a company in Chicago that took over her tour that next day, and we were off to Boston, and that really woke me up. It woke up the music industry because it was a sound system like never before. But I didn't know that. I knew it was really good, and Jerry had talked about it, and everybody we did, but I didn't know really how much of a difference we had made at that point.
Like the individuals highlighted in the Legend series, Arvest Bank is committed to our community. Click on the link below to find out ways that you can engage with us to help make Springfield great.